Let's face it, drums are loud, really loud. And unless you live in the hoods alone in the middle of nowhere, or you have a really good soundproof system, your neighbors will not like you very much, and it's an eviction notice waiting to happen. I used to play drums, and lately I've been itching to get back into it, but I was torn between the electric and the acoustic setup until the Beat Lab. Hi, I'm Kudzaishe Naomi, and this is HOWT, hanging out with the coolest people and brands pushing culture forward. And in this episode, we are hanging out with FD and Sabu at the Beat Lab, powered by Roland, where they're showcasing something that gives you the best of both worlds. It blends the look and the feel of the acoustic drums with the ease and control of an electric setup. Let's hang out.
Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy FD, and today I was hosting the Beat Lab with Sabu Santsha in association with Roland and Marshall Music Woodmead.
What an awesome time we had with FD and everyone in the room. Just getting to know the VAD716, the new baby, getting to know it a bit better and just sharing our experiences out there in the world with everyone else, what this thing can do.
So yeah, hybrid for now, but depending on the gig. There's the gig I did, it was called the Silent Concert. And they had a whole audience on headphones. And the drums were the only thing that were loud. And then this is when I thought, hey, let me get a VAD for this kit, and spoke to Roland. They were kind enough to send one.
I mean, I started loving drums at the age of 6. Yeah, I'm 35 now, so you can take a pick. I've been playing professionally for about 26 years. Yeah. The biggest misconception about electric kits is that they sound horrible. And if we were 10 years, 15 years back, I'd say that was true. Now, it's an utter lie. In fact, I might say they sound better than a lot of acoustic kits I've heard.
I was kind of against electric drums, a bit skeptical, but I think after today I've learned a lot, and I'm definitely going to learn more about it and try it myself and try get into the world of electric drumming.
Being a pro player comes with a number of things. One of them is being able to come to a compromise. In a situation like that, especially a well-respected engineer. Like I said in the beginning, those acoustic kits, we've tried the drum shield, they look horrible, they don't really help much. Then we've put, I got an amen for that. And then we've put kits in a whole house type thing, and that sounds bad. Because what you're hearing is basically everything reflecting into everything, and it creates this fishbowl effect. So we're streaming now in our churches, we're trying to get it sounding right, and if you're not in a big 5,000 seater and there's like 500, 600 people and the acoustic kits it's just a walking distance, the engineer can't really control what you're doing, and there's 5 different drummers in the church. The other one plays soft, next week we've got the other guy who's loud, and then we've got the guy who just never closes his hi-hats, and then we've got the guy who's smashing cymbals.
Man, the way electric drums has really impacted for me is in the bigger spaces, when you're playing in bigger halls and stadiums, all these spaces where there's a lot of space or high ceilings. Those spaces, the Roland kit has really allowed us to control these things, have a much better control over our sound and our end result quality. And I think for me as a recording artist and as a live artist, a lot of these things really help me in terms of how it's all put together at the end result. So once you've recorded and once you've tracked stuff, the things that you can do after the fact is really amazing for me in my line of work.
When you talk about upgrades in regards to this kit, I feel like
There's so many things that have happened, and they just bring it way closer to the acoustic world than electric drums have ever been. Because a lot of people have had a problem with electric drums in regards to how they respond to how drums play. I guess that's what a lot of people are concerned about in regards to electric drums, but I've come to understand and, learn how these drums can work best for a drummer who, has attachment issues in regards to like acoustic drums. So yeah, I'm here to educate you guys and help you guys understand that, this is not your enemy, but something that could actually put you in a better position even in the industry. For example, I've received bookings merely because I have electric drums in my possession, and people actually consider things like that. When we call this person, in terms of resources, what can we get from them sometimes? It's not always the case, but sometimes, people look at it from that, and some people knowing very well that you play electric drums the way you do will simply give you a call knowing that having this guy on the team is actually going to cut a lot of work down, especially from a technical standpoint. But let me not talk too much. Let me play our song, and then we'll take some questions.
Getting your sensitivity right in accordance to your playing, because obviously we all play differently, we all strike differently. What you want to do is set up the drums in such a way that you have a bit of a consistency to it, because if anything, for pop, for example, these drums are some of the most consistent drums I've ever heard. I play for JC Clegg, and our engineer loves these drums so much. He wants to take them everywhere. Like even gigs where we have acoustic drums, it's like, man, you need to bring your drums, bro. I think it'll sound better than the acoustic. I'm like, wait, give me a chance, every now and then, let me just breathe, because this is where I live now. Like for the past 2 years, I've actually been playing a lot of electric drums. And it comes back earlier to what I said to you guys, that I get bookings based on the fact that I have these drums and I've decided to, rather, instead of looking at it as something that opposes the acoustic, what could I do with them that nobody else is doing? I looked at it from that perspective that, okay, I see that everybody is very skeptical in regards to electric drums. So I went, over and beyond, and just to figure out how to make this best work for me first. And I think in making it work for me, it in turn works for others, because I get it to a point where I appreciate it and I make it work for my style of playing and the music that I'm included in. So much to the point that when others see me doing it, now they want to be a part of that wave or whatever that I am.
Context is everything. So you do not want to show up in a pop or hip-hop gig with a full-on acoustic kit. You want to actually bring in some hybrid elements to that, because hip-hop or pop, it's mostly an electronic sound. And so just going fully acoustic may not always work for that. You want to basically have the best of both worlds. So what I prefer hybrid, and that's the best of both worlds.
When I say hybrid, I mean there's parts of the kits that I'm going to keep acoustic, fully acoustic. I'm not going to mess with that.
Sabu doesn't play the electric drums as often as I do, so it was nice to show someone as professional as him this side of the world of things, to teach him about it as well. And he was just as willing to learn, which is a dope thing as well for people of his caliber to still be open to being taught about things that they don't know much about. People think that electric drum kits can't be dynamic. The new builds are allowing us to be able to, pull out more dynamics out of the kits so that it feels much more natural in accordance to the play. Because I think in the past we've had a issue of dynamics in accordance to electric drum kits because of how they trigger samples and how there's not much of a difference between the loudest hit and the softest one. Whereas now, I think how sample layering has improved in these modules is that they can layer samples within different zones. So a different zone would be how soft you hit and how hard you hit. And there's a lot of improvement when it comes to that in accordance to electric drum kits now, so yeah.
That's a brush kit. And there's another dope kit that I found. It's got like some 80s vibe to it. Tex-Mex. It's called Tex-Mex Effects. I mean, we could play like an actual song with that, and people will be so confused whether it's you or not, One more, then we can take another. Sounds like we're slicing beats in real time. Yeah.
I think it's allowing space for people to be a lot more creative. So effectively, less time setting up, less time sort of trying to achieve a particular sound or a particular result, where the result is kind of already there with minor tweaks. So you can effectively now apply more time to collaborate, create. So I think it creates a lot more space for creativity overall.
And trust me, guys, depth plays a big role. I'm not even gonna change the tune. I'm just gonna change the shout depth so that you guys can hear the difference.
My favorite part of the event, I think, when Fundile played the different types of drums that this one kit offers, because you kind of realize the possibilities are quite endless. So just really seeing the capabilities of what one drum set can bring you to, I felt like was quite amazing. Yeah.
Here we go. We're making it bigger now. You hear that? And guess where it's sitting now? We have a 14 by 20 snare playing in your ears right now. It's still got depth, but it actually makes it thicker, you know? And the dope thing about electronics is that you can exaggerate it, actually. You can exaggerate it to a point where it makes you feel comfortable. It doesn't have to be about making safe measures or playing it safe just so that, you know, there's a parameter that you can't pass. No, with electric drums, it's different. You can go as far as you want, as deep as you want. Obviously, you need to make it sound as good as you need to, but it's the things that it can do are obviously unrealistic. But that should be used to your favor, you know, make it sound better for you.
The biggest takeaway I got from this session was the power of always being willing to learn and to grow, because there's so many things that you can think you know, but if you're not willing to expand your knowledge and expand the things that you're willing to try, go outside of the box, then there's a lot you're missing out on. And to know there's so many variants that are available now to us drummers with regards to the kits that are here, it makes it so much easier to feel like, okay, throw any gig, throw any type of music, and we can just enjoy. And I think another thing when it comes to being a drummer, it's an enjoyable instrument, whether we like to express it or not. It's our whole body that's going into it. So to be able to express that in an even better way, I think is an added bonus. And seeing two legends, it was, come on, and others sitting in the crowd was even better.
Both drummers gave really good insight into the dynamics behind the VAD, you know, like just the complexities and how it can really be translated into, you know, professional gigging. And also, it took a turn and became almost like a production workshop, you know, where we started talking about things like tracking and, you know, how you could incorporate this in a live gig, you know, and creating hybrid systems and things of that nature.
So my favorite part of the whole event was basically the question and answer segment. You know, people had some really good questions, you know, that made it worthwhile, you know, as well, to be able to be out here sharing the information that's necessary in order to encourage people, you know, to be inspired to play electric drums way more than usual, because obviously right now there's the stigma of the fact that drummers are so used to acoustic drums that being told about electric drums is like sort of a taboo in their world. So today was, you know, today's purpose was just to educate people more about electric drums and how they can work much better for them. To anybody who wants to start, it's never too late. You know, you never know that that's God's purpose for your life. That's where your win will come from. You know, so I encourage you to start now, you know, yeah, just surround yourself with people who do this, you know, on a daily basis, and hopefully that will inspire you to take yourself seriously. I think in terms of how electric drums are shaping up, we can play any time of the day almost, you know, and I feel like in terms of being able to keep up with one's creativity, that's very helpful, that at any time of the day you can pick up sticks and go play, you know, because with acoustic drums there's a time limit in which people allow noise, you know, at a certain time of the day. Whereas with electric drums, there's times where I've picked up sets at 10 o'clock in the evening and my neighbors never even saw the need to pick up the phone and say, hey, you're making noise. You know, it was just like, oh, he's doing his thing again, you know. But it wasn't irritable to them because they're electric drums, and now it doesn't affect the creativity or the flow of me getting better or improving my craft. Being a drummer in regards to production is a very big thing because I feel like the things that you're able to come up with aren't as average as like the producer who does that on a daily basis, you know, because now you're able to think from a drummer's perspective, which is a very advanced perspective than it is from a producer's. Obviously, yes, there's some producers who are able to do some quite intricate stuff, but I feel like the patterns that a drummer can come up with, you know, can make you feel more than what other producers are capable of. So I feel like being able to integrate both those worlds has been a very, you know, great beneficial thing to me because like I've been able to come up with some pretty unique stuff just because of my understanding of rhythm and drums and how they sit. Any tips for aspiring drummers is that take yourself seriously first of all so that we can take you seriously. And I feel like that in its own just applies to a lot of stuff, you know. You'll see yourself growing, you know, going up and, you know, being recognized by the people that you wish to be recognized by, because if anything, you know, the people that you wish to recognize you will only recognize you once you start taking yourself seriously. So yeah, it really just starts there.
I think it's a very interesting instrument in the sense that you need to use all your limbs. I think my biggest advice is take it slow. Taking it slow will allow you to get there quicker, to be honest with you. You know, for me, I've practiced not really slowing down music, but I've always tried to practice my technicality slowly. So all my rudiments, take them easy so that when you're building them up, they become fluent. And I think that's what you want out of your playing, being fluent, you know?
Play and make that noise. They'll be okay. Their ears are gonna get used to it and just enjoy it. I think in society these days, we've taken away the joy of doing things. So I think number one, enjoy what we're doing, be able to keep learning and growing, learn new skills and find your new favorite track and envision where you'd want to go. And you don't have to wait till you're there to feel like you're there. So any girl, you can do it. We've got this.
Really explore. I think that's actually something I also learned today is don't come through with the one-dimensional thinking of drumming, just explore different ways. And that's how you learn new sounds. Yo, this is FD, and thank you to HOWT for hanging out with me today. Shout outs.
This track is called Ever Blazing. You'll hear why.
And I'm gonna beat the drums for you. Thank you.